From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Celebrating National Ag Day.
I want to thank them for all that they do in our changing world.
Here, this year's winning essay from one student who has a lot of questions. Recovering from incredible loss.
Pretty emotional to see all those dead cattle out there.
The latest from the Texas Panhandle as ranchers work to recover. Plus, a historic crop is starting to take a back seat in the U.S. The fall of America's wheat crop, right now on Ag Day.
Ag Day, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when experience meets expertise. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. There are a lot fewer wheat farms in the U.S. right now. In fact, USDA says the number of wheat farms in the country has declined by more than 40% in the last 20 years. Now, this graphic from the Economic Research Service details a drop. In 2002, there were more than 169,000 wheat farms in the country. But look at 2022, with the total number reaching just over 97,000. Along with the drop in wheat farms, there's been a drop in wheat production, which has remained below 40 million acres since 2017. And profitability, it has grown only a little more than $83 to $185 per acre for wheat over the last few years, while corn has more than doubled. Leaders with the National Association of Wheat Growers are hoping to address some of the profitability issues in the next farm bill. That includes improving the safety net and increasing the PLC price to bring it in line with the cost of production.
They're looking at maybe doing 10%. So if we go from 550 to 555, is that really enough of an adjustment to offset the cost of production? And I would have to say no, unless we're going to do meaningful changes to PLC where we increase from 550 to 650 or 675 so that the PLC price is more reflective of the cost of production, then yes, we really need to be working towards that. But it comes back down to the lack of funding in the Farm Bill, and making those larger jumps in PLC are much more expensive. And so yes, we support an increase, but it has to be an effective increase.
He also says they'd like to see changes to the crop insurance program, including improving coverage and lowering premiums in order to cover the cost of production. Exports are also an issue. USDA lowering U.S. all wheat exports this month by 15 million bushels to 710 million, remaining the lowest since 1971. One country that's seeing larger exports of wheat is Ukraine. In fact, it's reported farmers are seeing an unexpected surge in grain exports thanks to Ukrainian naval drones successfully neutralizing Russian warships in the Black Sea. The Wall Street Journal reports this military success has created a safe corridor for shipping from main ports like Odessa, and it's helping to boost grain exports close to pre-war levels. It reports that grain exports more than doubled in December compared to September, but challenges remain, including ongoing attacks on Odessa and logistical hurdles. Later today, spring finally arrives, marking the first day of astronomical spring, the vernal equinox. This is the earliest in March the equinox has fallen since 1896, and the timing of it all seems perfect because the cherry blossom trees at the National Mall have reached peak bloom. Millions of people visit the National Mall every year to see the 3,700 trees that line the tidal basin. The arrival of spring-like weather appears to be taking a back seat in the Great Lakes and northeast part of the U.S., as meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht shows us.
Yeah, in fact, coming off of spring, the official start of spring on Tuesday, we're going to have another shot of colder air trying to come in. Now, I want to show you the system. This is Wednesday at 8 o'clock. I noticed a trough trying to dig back down here to the south, or I should say to the east, and moving off to the northeast. Big ridge developing, trying to develop in and across the United States. But it's going to be a little bit more shallow than the ridges we've seen the past couple of months. Remember, the ridges have been strong enough to keep a lot of the energy back up here to the north. That is not going to be the case. This is Thursday at 9 p.m. You have not only rain coming through parts of Texas, Louisiana, but also the southeast, but also the combination of some snow working in and across the Midwest. Quick hitting system that comes through late Thursday, Friday, early Saturday morning and then starts to exit back up here to the north and to the northeast. We'll talk more about what that means in that extended forecast coming up in just a bit. And more farmers getting ready to plant 24. Cody in Iowa was getting the equipment ready last week. He says it's hard not to take advantage of the weather they've had. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
Lots of folks buy eggs this time of year to decorate for Easter, but also for holiday cooking and baking. And this year, those eggs are likely going to cost you more than they did a year ago. USDA conducting a scan of retail sales ads for eggs.
A dozen white grade A eggs are averaging about $2.92 a dozen compared to about $2.28 a dozen a year ago.
One reason, the ongoing recovery of the egg-laying flock from bird flu. Right now, the flock is about 1% smaller than a year ago, so egg supplies are down, but demand is up, meaning higher prices. Signs of life in the Texas Panhandle following devastating wildfires. The Texas Farm Bureau is sharing this picture of grass growing once again in the area after more than 1.5 million acres were consumed in the wildfires. The agency also sharing this story about a family of ranchers who were right in the middle of the largest fire in Texas history.
This Smokehouse Creek fire, we're not but 15 to 20 miles from where it started. It hit us pretty quick. We were just doing everything we could. The fire departments were so scattered out. It was just us on our ranch fire truck and then a couple neighbors over here with their ranch fire trucks. And we fought it on us through the night and through Tuesday. We did all we could do until that wind changed out of the north, and then that's when it wiped us completely out and took a lot of livestock out with it.
When the wind shifted, that's probably the craziest I think any of the three of us have ever seen it. I mean, it felt like the end was near the way that smoke.
That's right.
Hit.
Did what we could to suck those cows around kind of into the black, before those winds changed a little bit. When it changed, we went to opening gates and hope for the best.
That thing went so fast, there's just not a whole lot you can do.
I mean, the way we timed it, it hit about 15 to 20 miles in about 20 minutes.
It's the first time we personally have lost any livestock.
What we've lost for certain, the number of deads were just right over 200 head of cows. The calves, we found about 85 to 90 dead, because we're right in the middle of calving season. It was pretty emotional. We scattered out that first day and we went 3 different directions. I think I got to the bad pasture first. Pretty emotional to see all those dead cattle out there. And a lot of them were the young 3- and 4-year-old cows we had.
It's not real fun to put down some of your cows. We've all spent a lot of time together, and it's pretty tough to walk out there and see the year brands on those cows.
Right now, our head is wrapped around getting these cows out to grass and get them off this burned country, because right now we're just pouring hay to them every day, and a lot of it.
And thank you to the people that donated that
It
day.
is just unbelievable. The next few weeks, we're just focused on getting these cows to places and keeping them healthy. I mean, the stress on these cows is it's not good, but cows are more resilient than you think, and I mean, they'll overcome it. The baby calves, it's going to be super tough on them. That's what we're pretty concerned, not only what we've lost all these baby calves, but what we'll probably lose in the next 3 or 4 months, just because of the health. I mean, we're having to move these things that are less than a week old.
It's going to be pretty tough to rebuild, but we'll make it through it.
It's just what we've loved since we were little kids. All we want to do is go work cows, and now we get to do it pretty well every day. I mean, it's just a love and a joy for it. And it'll take several years to get it back where it was.
And our thanks to the Texas Farm Bureau for helping to keep people updated. All right, speaking of cattle, we'll talk cattle markets and look at why prices are still climbing. That's next. And later, celebrating National Ag Day with questions to farmers from a student and a winning essay in the country.
Ag Day is brought to you by Germinator Closing Wheels. Germinator steel closing wheels provides a 13 bushel advantage per acre in no-till and a 7 bushel advantage per acre in conventional.
Do you have enough room in your bin to switch to the Germinator?
Worldwide investment in agri-food tech startups has taken a nearly 50% drop. Now take a look at these charts from AgFunder. It says investment in agri-food tech startups have hit the lowest point in 6 years, and it says venture capital investors who invested in alternative protein and vertical farming a few years ago are now fleeing the sector. AgFunder says last year investment in that sector represented just 5.5% of venture capital dollars compared to more than 7% in 2021. There are some bright spots, including more funding in food and farming that fight against climate change and food insecurity. There's also reported to be growth and investment in the bioenergy and biomaterials category. Cash cattle prices continue to challenge the record highs set last year, but have those prices already topped out? AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us with more in Markets Now.
Joining us with markets, Scott Varlick with Koima Varlick. Scott, let's talk about this cattle market. It looked like last week we put in a reversal on the charts after making some new highs for the move. Do you think we have an intermediate top? Was that topping action?
It does feel like a little bit of a topping action to me. I think you're right. We had a technical reasons and we've got some calendar reasons. So a lot of things kind of line up for that to me. We had that 190.27 April cattle gap. Everybody was looking at it. It was widely known that that's a number we could get to and a little bit of a target. So once we filled that number, quickly started to snowball lower. So we found some liquidation from some longs. We found some increased hedging activity. So there was quite a bit of incentive for that, from the technical standpoint. And yeah, this is when you get your seasonal cash highs right here in the second and third weeks of March, and we're doing it. Cash is higher and feeling okay, and it just lines up perfectly with the time of the year for it.
All right, so what is your outlook? Are we going to see a rebound, and what are you talking about for risk management with your clients?
Yeah, the long-term story looks good, feels good. You've still got cash feeder prices leading the way, so we know that a cow herd doesn't get rebuilt overnight, but I know that we've got a lot of money invested into our cattle. So for me, I'm looking at some protection here harder than I have been for quite a while, I guess we'll say. So it's to me looking for some protection. I like the news that we have right now. I don't like some of the carcass weights and that we're fighting some of this market because there is some negative returns on some of these cattle. So we're putting extra weight on the cattle, and that could be the one thing that could drive us lower short term.
Do you think it's possible that we will retest last September's record highs or not?
It's still possible. It's going to be, because I do not see the mass, let's get this cow herd built. Heifer retention hasn't really even happened yet, and we know that that's that next leg of tighter numbers in the feed yard. So still have that possibility yet.
Thanks for joining us, Scott Varlick with Koima Varlick. That's Markets Now.
You see the overall temperature outlook a lot more blue than red. And the entire winter season, it was the other way. There was a lot more red than blue. So this is March 25th into March 31st. As we close out the month of March, things looking a little bit below normal temperature-wise back up in the Dakotas and in Montana, and extending back down here to the south, a little bit to the southeast. Possibly above normal temperatures, a sliver into Michigan and then up into the northeast. Now we flip over to the precipitation outlook, and again, things looking a little bit more wet the second half of March for the United States. So you got a pocket of above or wetter than normal conditions back into Wisconsin, Minnesota, extending all the way down here to the south, which gives us confidence that we're going to have a few more systems spread in and across the United States rather than a very specific part of the United States. Four Corners, wetter than normal as well back into Phoenix and also into California. So what we're going to be setting up in regards to that jet stream Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, one system starts to exit off on the East Coast. As we looked at earlier, a ridge will try to develop, but it's not going to be all that strong, which is going to allow another trough to dig through a pocket of colder air and then a reinforcing shot of some colder air. Remember the blue that we had on the map the second half of March That is what we're seeing in the jet stream. So a bit of a delayed effect. You get spring coming back into the southeast, into the Midwest, and then hints of another shot of some colder air moving through next Monday and Tuesday. So again, that's taking a look at what we have in regards to that jet stream, not only this week, but also next week as well. Precipitation estimate as we go through the rest of your Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, relatively quiet between the two systems. And then as that jet stream starts to crank and we get more of a trough developing, that's where the rain starts to move in. Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana. Helena, Montana, mostly sunny, high around 62 degrees. Georgia, sunny, high about 62, low of 38. Mostly sunny skies. That's going to be an island destination off of California. Partly cloudy, 66 degrees for a high.
There are fresh indicators that milk margins may improve this year. We'll take a look at the details next. And later, students ask farmers questions for National Ag Day. We'll hear from one of them in the country. Could 2024 be a better year for milk producers? Well, at least one official thinks so. USDA Outlook Board Chairman Mark Chekhanowski says milk production this year will be up, but by less than 1 billion pounds. And he says tighter supplies could lead to higher prices. And it's being driven right now by very strong demand for cheese and butter. And that's helping to possibly push milk prices up.
The all milk price, incorporating all of the different classes and products, the all milk price this month we raised by 30 cents per hundredweight to $21.25 per hundredweight, up 77 cents per hundredweight year over year.
Couple that with lower feed costs, and experts say there are signs suggesting margins could improve. There's something new on the market to help keep cows cool on those hot summer days. It's called the Intelligent Soaker 2.0. DairyHerd.com reporting on this as part of Farm Journal's ongoing coverage of smart farming. Now, the technology comes from VES Artex. It's a soaking system designed to help alleviate heat stress, but also claims to be able to significantly reduce water usage on dairy farms. The company says the system utilizes intelligent sensor technology to not only spray water when a cow is present, and it's based on temperature set points. Now, it says the new technology can help cut water usage by up to 70% compared to traditional soaking systems. To learn more, check out DairyHerd.com. Farmers are always innovating to solve problems. Up next, we'll hear from the National Ag Day essay contest winner and her questions for farmers in the country. Well, today is National Ag Day, and it was started by the Agriculture Council of America to raise awareness of ag's vital role in our world. Every year, the nonprofit organization hosts an essay contest where students can share their views about agriculture. This year's theme is Agriculture Growing a Climate for Tomorrow. And this year's essay winner is Sophia Kawamura of Bothell, Washington. Now, she talked about what she would ask a farmer.
According to the EPA, agriculture contributed to more than $1.1 trillion to the U.S. domestic product in 2019. The U.S. is a top exporter of soybeans, tree nuts, and beef. However, as the climate changes, shifts in temperature, precipitation, and water availability could make current agricultural practices more difficult, affecting those in the agricultural sector and the U.S. economy as a whole. If I had 2 minutes with a farmer, I'd ask about how global warming has affected their practices and what strategies they've used to work around challenges through methods like shifting planting dates or using more flood or heat-tolerant crops. I'd also like to hear about their perspective on new smart farming technologies like farm management software platforms, moisture sensors, and precision irrigation and fertilization systems. On that same note of global warming, since livestock waste is a contributor to greenhouse gas emission, I would ask a farmer about their perspective on sustainability. How have they been impacted by programs like AgStar, which use biogas recovery systems to reduce methane emissions from livestock waste? How does sustainability affect their practice? Additionally, the World Health Organization has named antimicrobial resistance as one of the greatest threats to public health. Since frequent use of antibiotics in agriculture can lead to the proliferation and spread of antibiotic-resistant bacteria through sources like meat and waste, I would ask a farmer how they have balanced reducing use of antibiotics with livestock health. Some methods, like breeding genetically disease-resistant livestock, and using certain diets that boost immunity can reduce the amount of antibiotics used. Most importantly, if I had 2 minutes with a farmer, I would want to thank them for all that they do in our changing world, from caring to the land to producing the food on our tables.
All right, thanks and congratulations to Sophia. I'm sure a number of farmers would love to answer those questions for you. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.